Drummer boy.
Yeah. It's dope. If you ain't talking money, I don't wanna.
A monk there was, one made for mastery, an outrider who loved his venery, a manly man to be an abbot able, full many a blooded horse. Nay! And when he rode, men might his bridle hear, a jingling in the whistling wind as clear, aye, and as loud as does the chapel bell, where this brave monk was of the cell. The rule of Maris or Saint Benedict, by reason it was bold and somewhat strict. This said monk let such old things slowly pace, and follow new world manners in their place. He cared not for that text the clean plucked hen, which holds that hunters are not holy men, nor that a monk, when he is cloisterous, is like unto a fish that is waterless. That is to say, a monk out of his cloister, but this same text he held not worth an oyster, and that said his opinion was not good, what should he study as a madman would? Upon a book in a cloister cell, or yet go labor with his hands and swing and sweat, as Austin bids. How shall the world be served? Let Austin have his toil to him reserved. Therefore he was a rider day and night. Greyhounds he had, as swift as a bird in flight. Since riding and the hunting of the hare were all his love, for no cost he would spare. I saw his sleeves were purpled at the hand, with the fur of gray, the finest in the land. Also to fasten the hood beneath his chin, he had a good rod and gold a curious pin. A love knot at the larger end there was. His head was bald and shone like any glass, and smooth as one anointed with his face. That was this lord, he stood in a godly case. His bulging eyes rolled about and hot. They gleamed and red like fire beneath a pot. His boots were soft, his horse of great estate. Now certainly he was a fine prelate. He was not pale as some poor wasted ghost. A fat swan loved he best of any roast. His palfrey was as brown as is a berry. Samson was a judge of Israel. He was one of the most powerful men in the world. When Samson fell for Delilah, it marked the beginning of his downfall and eventual demise. It didn't take long for the rich and powerful Philistine rulers to learn of the affair and immediately paid a visit to Delilah. Hoping to capture him, the Philistine leaders each offered Delilah a sum of money to collaborate with them in a scheme to uncover the secret of Samson's great strength. Using her powers of seduction and deception, Delilah persistently wore down Samson with her repeated requests until he finally divulged the crucial information. Having taken the Nazirite vow at birth, Samson had been set apart to God. As part of that vow, his hair was never to be cut. When Samson told Delilah that his strength would leave him if a razor would be to use on his head, she cunningly crafted her plan with the Philistine rulers. While Samson slept on her lap, Delilah called in a conspirator to shave off the 7 braids of his hair. Subdued and weak, Samson was captured. Rather than killing him, the Philistines preferred to humiliate him by gouging out his eyes and subjecting him to hard labor in a Gaza prison. As he slaved at grinding grain, his hair began to grow, but the careless Philistines paid no attention. And in spite of his horrible failures and sins of great consequence, Samson's heart now turned to the Lord. He was humbled. He prayed to God, first, and God answered. During a pagan sacrificial ritual, the Philistines had gathered in Gaza to celebrate. As was their custom, they paraded their prized enemy prisoner into the temple to entertain the jeering crowds. Samson braced himself between the two central support pillars of the temple and pushed with all his might. Down came the temple, killing Samson and all of the people in it. Through his death, Samson destroyed more of his enemies in this one sacrificial act than he had previously killed in all the battles in his life.